Now in the next question, that is question number 105, a gene whose expression helps to identify the transformed cell is known as vector, plasmid, structural gene or selectable marker. We have got this in the chapter molecular basis of inheritance. There we have discussed about the transcriptional unit. You have remembered that, right? So what is the correct answer of this question? What is the gene whose expressions help to identify the transformed cell? That is the option number 4, selectable marker. So selectable marker, these are having the genes whose expressions help to identify the transformed cell, and this is the answer. And we have got the selectable markers in the chapter biotechnology and its principle and process. There we have discussed about the cloning vectors, right? So the vectors, then plasmid and selectable marker, these are the paths of the cloning vectors, right? So which among them is the correct answer? That is the option number 4. Now let us see the next question. Now in the next question, that is question number 106, which of the following components provides sticky characters to the bacterial cell? Nuclear membrane, plasma membrane, glycocalyx or the cell wall? So in the chapter cell, the unit of life, we have discussed this. What is the components of the bacterial cell? That are having the glycocalyx, and it provides the sticky characters of the bacteria. So what is the correct answer here? That is the option number 3, glycocalyx. Now let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 107, the final proof for DNA as the genetic material came from the experiment of Hershey and Chase, Avery MacLeod and McCarthy, Hargobind Khorana or Griffith. That we have discussed in the chapter molecular basis of inheritance from the unit human genetics. So I hope you have remembered that very clearly. So what is the correct answer of this question? Who gave the final proof for DNA which is considered as the genetic material? So that has came from the experiment of Hershey and Chase. So option number 1 is the correct answer. Now let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 108, fruit and leaf drop at early stages can be prevented by the applications of ethylene or auxin or gibberellic acid or cytokinins. That we have discussed in the chapter plant growth and development. There we have discussed the phytohormones, where all the hormones functions of the plants we have discussed. So what is the correct answer of this question? Which among the following plant hormones are used and which is used to prevent the fruit and leaf drop at early stages? That will be the option number 2, that is auxin. So auxin is such kind of plant hormones which are used to prevent the early stage removal of the fruits and the leaf drops. So that is the correct answer. Now let us see the next question. Now in the next question, that is question number 109, which one of the following statement is not valid for aerosols? First option is they alter rainfall and monsoon patterns. Option number 2 is they cause increased agricultural productivity. Option number 3 is they have negative impact on agricultural land, and option number 4 is they are harmful to human health. So aerosol, you know, that arises from the air pollutions and it affects directly or indirectly to the plants. We have discussed this in the chapter environmental issues. So what is the correct statement? The option number 1, option number 3 and option number 4 is the correct statement. While option number 2, it states that they cause increased agricultural productivity, which is not valid for this aerosol. So option number 2 is the correct answer. Now let us see the next question. Now in the next question, that is question number 110, Which of the following options gives the correct sequence of events during mitosis? So, mitosis, meiosis, we have discussed this in the chapter cell cycle and cell divisions. So, what is the sequence of those mitosis? First process is, here the options are given, condensations. Condensations in which the chromosomes are condensed so that it can be distinctly visible. Next is the nuclear membrane disassembles, which means the nuclear membrane which are present in the boundary of the chromosomes and in the cells, that is disassemble. Next is the arrangement at equator, that called as the metaphase stage. After that, the separations of the centromere take place in the anaphase stage, and the next is the segregation, and the last one is the telophase in which two different cells are produced. So, this is the correct sequence. So, among these four options, option number 1 is the correct answer of these questions. I hope you have understood this process of the mitosis. This is a very easy question. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 111, in bougainvillea, thorns are the modifications of adventitious root, stem, leaf or stipules that we have discussed in the chapter morphologies of the flowering plants. So, what is the modifications which give rise to thorns in bougainvillea? That is the modification of stem. So, option number 2 is the correct answer of these questions. Alright, now let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 112, it says that if there are 999 bases in an RNA that codes for a protein with 333 amino acids and the base at position 901 is deleted such that the length of the RNA becomes 998 bases, how many codons will be altered? So, that is from the chapter molecular basis of inheritance. There we have discussed about the genetic code. The genetic code comes from the three bases like A, U, G. These are the triplet codons, right? So, from the 999 bases, if the 901 base is deleted out of the 98 bases, so 33 codons will be altered. So, from the options given, what is the correct answer? That is the option number 233. So, 33 codons will be altered in this. Now, let us see the next question. So, in this question number 113, transplantations of tissues or organs fail often due to non-acceptance by the patient's body. Which type of immune response is responsible for such rejections? Options are given. First option is cell-mediated immune response, then hormonal immune response, then physiological immune response or autoimmune response. So, this is from the chapter Human Health and Disease. So, in the last part of the chapter, I have discussed all this immune response. So, which of the following is responsible for such rejections? That is the option number 1, cell mediated immune response. So, that is the correct answer. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 114, select the correct route for the passage of sperms in male frogs. So, we have discussed this in the chapter structural organizations in animals. There we have discussed about the earthworm, then cockroach and frog. So, in the case of male frogs, what is the passage of the sperms? What is the correct sequence from this? Options given, that is the option number 3. So, in the male frogs, how the sperms are transported? It transports from testes, then vasa efferentia, then it moves towards the kidney, then Bidder's canals, then urinogenital duct and cloaca. So, this is the correct sequence of the passage of sperms in male frogs. So, this is the correct answer. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 115, a temporary endocrine gland in the human body is corpus caardiacum. Option number 2 is corpus luteum. Next option is corpus elatum, and option number 4 is pineal gland. So, in the chapter chemical coordinations and integrations, we have discussed about the endocrine glands. So, what is the correct answer of this question? That is the option number 2, that is corpus luteum. So, corpus luteum is a temporary endocrine gland which is present in the human body. So, this is the correct answer. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 116, attractants and reverts are required for entomophily, hydrophily, cleistogamy or anemophily. So, this questions has given from the chapter sexual reproductions in the flowering plants. There we have discussed different agents or different types of agents which are useful for the pollination process. So, what is the correct answer from these options? That is the option number 1, entomophily. So, entomophily is the insect pollinated. Right? So, this is the correct answer. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 117, the functional megaspore in an angiosperm develops into endosperm, embryo sac, embryo or ovule. So, that we have discussed in the sexual reproductions in the flowering plants. So, you know the embryo sac, that is the 7 celled and 8 nucleated. So, 7 cell, 8 nucleated. So, out of the 3 functional megaspore cells, that is the one is the functional megaspore of an angiosperm, and that develops from the embryo sac. So, option number 2 is the correct answer. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 118, which of the following in sewage treatment removes suspended solids? There are 4 options given. First option is secondary treatment, second option is primary treatment, fourth option is tertiary treatment, and third option is the sludge treatment. So, we have discussed in the chapter microbes in human welfare, there we have discussed the sewage treatment plants. So, what is the correct answer of this question? That is the option number 2, primary treatment. So, in the case of primary treatment, the sewage treatments removes the suspended solids. So, that is the correct answer. You can also refer to that chapter for more details. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 119, the presence of plants arranged into well-defined vertical layers depending on their height can be seen best in tropical rainforest or grassland or temperate forest or tropical savanna. So, we have discussed this in the chapter ecosystem, and this is a very easy question. So, what is the correct answer from this option? That is the option number 1, tropical rainforest. So, in the tropical rainforest, we can observe the presence of plants which are arranged into well-defined vertical layers. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 120, which of the following is made up of date cells? Collenchyma, phloem, phloem or xylem parenchyma. So, these questions come from the chapter anatomy of the flowering plants. There we have discussed different types of tissues which are included in the plant tissues. So, what is the correct answer from this option? Which among them is made up of date cells? That is the option number 2, phloem cells. So, phloems are made up of the date cells. So, that is the correct answer. Now, let us see the next question. Next question is question number 121. So, in the question number 121, you can see here the zygotic meiosis is a characteristic of the fucus, funaria, chlamydomonas or mercantia. So, in the chapter plant kingdom, we have discussed all these different types of example. So, where does this zygotic meiosis take place? This zygotic meiosis is taking place and it is a characteristic of the chlamydomonas. That is the option number 3. So, option number 3 is the correct answer of this question. Now, let us move on to the next question. Now, the next question is question number 122. MALT, which means the mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, constitute about % of the lymphoid tissue in human body. Is that 20%, 70%, 10% or 50%? So, we have discussed about the MALT in the chapter Human Health and Disease. So, this MALT constitute about 50% of the lymphoid tissues in the human body. So, option number 4 is the correct answer of this question. Alright, now let us see the next question. Now, in the next question, that is question number 123, lungs are made up of air-filled sacs, the alveoli. They do not collapse even after forceful expiration because of inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, expiratory reserve volume or the residual volume. So, we have discussed this in the chapter breathing and exchange of gases. So, the sac which are present inside the lungs do not get collapsed even after forceful expiration because of the residual volume. So, option number 4 is the correct answer of this question. Now, let us move on to the next question. Next question is question number 124. So, in the case of poriferans, the spongicoil is lined with flagellated cells called oscula, second is choanocytes, third is mesenchymal cells and the fourth is ostia. So, we have discussed this in the chapter Animal Kingdom from the kingdom Porifera. So, what is the correct answer of this question? That is the option number 2. So, in the case of poriferans, the spongicoils is lined with flagellated cells and these flagellated cells are called as the cenocytes. So, that is the correct option. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the question number 125, it states that which one of the following is related to ex situ conservations of threatened animals and plants? 4 options are given. First option is biodiversity hotspot, second option is Amazon rainforest, third option is Himalayan region and the fourth option is wildlife safari parks. So, we have discussed this in the chapter biodiversity and conservations. So, which among them is related to ex situ conservation? That is the option number 4, wildlife safari parks. So, that is the correct answer of this question. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 126, which of the following RNAs should be most abundant in animal cells? 4 options are given with different names of the RNAs, whether it is tRNA or mRNA or miRNA or rRNA. So, that questions has directly come from the chapter molecular basis of inheritance. We have discussed the different types of RNAs, right? So, we have discussed the transfer RNA that called as the tRNA, then mRNA is the mitochondrial, then mRNA is the messenger RNA, then miRNA is the microRNA and the rRNA is the ribosomal RNA. So, among these 4 options, option number 4 is the correct answer. So, ribosomal RNA helps in the protein synthesis. So, this should be present in abundant in the case of animal cells. So, that is the correct option. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 127, which statement is wrong for Krebs cycle? There are 4 options given. First statement is there is one point in the cycle where FAD plus is reduced to FADH2, and the second statement is during conversion of succinyl coenzyme A to succinic acid, a molecule of GTP is synthesized. Option number 3 is the cycle starts with condensation of acetyl group, that is the acetyl coenzyme A, with pyruvic acid to yield citric acid. And the fourth statement is there are 3 points in the cycle where NAD plus is reduced to NADH plus H plus. So, this question has given from the chapter respirations in plants. So, what is the correct answer of these questions? Which among them statement is incorrectly written? That is the option number 3. So, the option number 3 state that the cycle start with the condensations of acetyl coenzyme A with pyruvic acid to yield the citric acid. So, that is the incorrect statement, and this is the correct option for this question. Now, let us move on to the next question. Now, the next question is question number 128. Hypersecretions of growth hormones in adult does not cause further increase in height because first option is epiphyseal plates close after adolescence. Option number 2 is bones lose their sensitivity to growth hormones in adult. Option number 3 is muscle fibers do not grow in size after birth, and the fourth option is growth hormones becomes inactive in adults. So, this questions has given from the chapter chemical coordinations and integrations. So, if the growth hormones is hyperly secreted, that means if it is overly secreted, then the adults does not cause further increase in their height. Why it is so? It is because of the epiphyseal plates. Epiphyseal plates, these are the plates which close after adolescence if the growth hormones increases even after the adolescence. So, the option number 1 is the correct answer of this question. And epiphyseal plates, you know, it is responsible for the growth of the bone. So, you can write the epiphyseal plates, these are responsible for growth of bones. Okay. So, this is the answer. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 129, plants which produce characteristic pneumatophores and show vivipary belongs to halophytes, psammophytes, hydrophytes or the mesophytes. So, this is a very easy questions and it has come from the chapter morphology of the flowering plants. There we have got about the pneumatophores. So, the plants which produce this pneumatophores for their respirations and those plants also show vivipary belongs to the halophytes. So, option number 1 is the correct answer of these questions. Now, let us see the next question. Now, in the next question is question number 130. Asymptote in a logistic growth curve is obtained when k is equal to n or k is greater than n or k is smaller than n, or option number 4 is the value of r approaches 0. So, we have discussed in the chapter organisms and populations about the logistic growth curve. What was its formula? Let us see this. So, this logistic growth curve formula and it is already given in your textbooks. So, after analyzing this, what we have got for the asymptote in a logistic growth curve, it is obtained when k is equal to n. So, option number 1 is the correct answer of these questions. Alright. Now, let us move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 131, good visions depends on adequate intake of keratin rich food. Select the best option from the following statements. First option is vitamin A derivatives are formed from carotene? Option number B is the photopigments are embedded in the membrane discs of the inner segment. Then option number C is retinal is a derivative of vitamin A, and fourth statement is retinal is a light absorbing part of all the visual photopigments. So we have described this, the structure of eye, in the chapter of neural control and coordinations. So in the last part we have discussed about this. So which among the following this four statement is the correct statement? That is the first statement, which state that vitamin A derivatives are formed from carotene. Then statement C is retinal is a derivative of vitamin A, and fourth statement it states that retinal is a light absorbing part of all the visual photopigments. So here all the options are given. So which among them is the correct option? That is the option number 1. So option number 1 is the best option from the questions. Now let's move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 132, artificial selection to obtain cows yielding higher milk output represent. First option is directional, as it pushes the mean of the characters in one direction. Option number 2 is disruptive, as it splits the populations into two, one yielding higher output and the other lower output. And the third option is stabilizing, followed by disruptive, as it stabilizes the population to produce higher yielding cows. And the fourth option is stabilizing selection, as it stabilizes this character in the populations. So this question has given from the chapter evolutions. There we have discussed about this disruptive and stabilizing curve. So what is the correct answer of this question? That is the option number 1. It states that directional, as it pushes the mean of the characters in one directions. So while artificially selecting to obtain the cows which can yield higher milk output, it represents the directional, as it pushes the mean of the characters in one direction. So that is the correct answer. Now let's move on to the next question. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question number 133. As you can see here, frog's heart when taken out of the body continues to beat for some time. Select the best option from the following statement. Statement number 1 is frog is a poikilotherm. Statement number 2 is frog does not have any coronary circulation. Statement number 3 is heart is myogenic in nature, and statement number 4 is heart is autoexcitables. So we have discussed this, the characteristic of the heart from the chapter body fluids and circulations. So from that chapter you know the characteristics of heart. Heart that is myogenic in nature because it arises from the mesodermal tissues of the embryonic germ layers, whereas the heart is also a autoexcitable. So because of the two statement, that is the statement number C and statement number D is correct for the characteristic of heart, and because of the autoexcitable nature of the heart, what happens in the case of vertebrates and also in the case of frog's heart, when it is taken out of their body, it continues to beat for some time. So from these four options, what is the correct option for this? That is the option number 3. That is option C and D is the correct statement for these questions. Now let's move on to the next question. Now in the next question, that is question number 134. Select the mismatch. Cycas has been matched with dioecious, salvinia that is heterosporous, third is equisetum that is homosporous, and the fourth is spinous that is dioecious. So this is a very easy question and it has come from the chapter plant kingdom. So which among them is mismatched? That is the option number 4, pinus. So in the case of pinus, it is actually a monoecious, but here it is written dioecious. So that is incorrectly matched. Now let's move on to the next question. In the next question, that is question number 135, which one from those given below is the period for Mendel's hybridizations experiment? There are 4 options given: 1840 to 1850. Option number 2 is 1857 to 1869. Option number 3 is 1870 to 1877, and option number 4 is 1856 to 1863. These are very easy questions and it has directly come from the NCERT textbooks. There in the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variations. So in the start of the chapter you will get this. So what is the correct answer among this? That is the option number 4. It is 1856 to 1863. So that is the correct options. So these are the 90 questions of biology. I hope you know all the chapters very well so that you can answer all these questions very clearly. And after analyzing this 2017 question paper of the NEET, we have seen that biology 90 questions which are given were very direct from the NCERT textbooks. So what we have to know? We have to clear all the concept from those chapter class 11 and of the class 12. So these are all these questions of the biology, and I hope you understood all the chapters very well. So keep practicing. Now let's move on to the next question paper.
The ratio of amplitude of magnetic field to the amplitude of electric field for an electromagnetic wave propagating in vacuum is equal to how much? So this is a question came from the chapter Electromagnetic Waves, where the right answer for this question is the reciprocal of the speed of light.